Good afternoon, folks. How's it going out there? Welcome back here to a Saturday. Made it out here to the weekend. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful and safe 4th of July. It is 12:06 p.m. California time here, July 5th, 2025. Latest activity shows a 3.7 here on the Earthquake 3D globe. Not a whole lot of activity happening there, but some newer quake movement. Still watching Japan here. I was just pulling up the Japan Meteorological Agency website here, and there's still about 50 earthquakes that's kicked off since midnight my time here. That's still pretty much on tap there far as the multitude of quakes compared to previous days. A little bit of dying off within the last few hours. It looks like, in between a recent event up to about 9 or so, there was a little quiet period, but there's still a number of earthquakes out there occurring across Japan, mainly in the 2 and 3 range, occasional 4s popping up in there as well. The USGS showing 2 earthquakes today after midnight above 4.5. That's going to be one at about 12:16 in the morning, and also more recent 4.6 here. Kind of keeping an eye on this as it continues to uptick in terms of earthquake activity here. It's just an interesting event here with the recent volcano eruption there across the area as well, with a lot of earthquake activity continuing. I don't think we're done yet with the potential of some large earthquake activity. I did want to show you guys a little cross-section here. This is, for example, the Cascadia subduction zone. Similar type of subduction zone that sits over there across Japan, and why I feel it's important to watch for some megaquake activity because of the recent volcano eruption there. So on this area, the Cascadia subduction zone, we have the Juan de Fuca plate here that's being subducted well into the mantle. It gets heated and melted, and then of course you get these volcanoes there across the Cascades into Washington, Oregon, and portions of Northern California as well. When these volcanoes, really start to kick up or they erupt, that's obviously a sign there that we're, further pushing that subducting plate underneath the area. And that's similar to what we're seeing happen over there at Japan. I still think that the locked area up there across Japan has potential for some large earthquake activity. We have yet to see it obviously, but it's there. If you look at the last 30 days, this section right here, the Nankai Trough, has been definitely building up some steam all around it, and this is just in the last 30 days. We had previous events as well within the last year or so where it looked like things were starting to maybe get ready to pop here across this area of the Nankai Trough. But no big earthquake activity yet. And again, I think as long as these earthquakes continue there in the region, that we're looking at the potential of a megaquake somewhere. And I kind of focused on a couple different areas aside from the Nankai Trough. I think this area back over here towards Taiwan needs to be watched pretty closely as well. It's a major subduction zone that's capable of big earthquakes, and it's been quite a while since we had a megaquake over here. But also over here across the subduction zone of the Izu Trench. That's another player that there's not a whole lot of historical large earthquake activity on this, specifically up here at the subduction zone region. So just kind of watching this closely here. Earthquake activity on the seismograph stations here. There's one earthquake. That's probably, when was that? 1856 or so, 1857. Let's see here. So that's going to be this one, a 2.9. So yeah, a little bit of lapse in earthquake activity here in the last 2 hours, but it does look like it's starting to kick back up. And they can come in swarms. They can die off for a little bit, but still, there's 50 earthquakes on here. I went and counted every single one of these since midnight. So if we add another 12 hours on here, that should give us another 100 earthquakes, similar to what we've been seeing here each day over the last week or so, with hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes happening across that area with no main quake. And that's this swarm right down here towards the southern end, off of the southern end of the Nankai Trough. So watch that closely there, folks. A little bit of newer well, not newer, but some movement yesterday around the Taiwan area and the Japan Trench. Some newer movement striking down here across the southern area of the Indonesia region, a little bit into the Java Trench as well. A little bit more uptick happening across the New Zealand area northward towards the Tonga Trench here today. But newer, completely newer activity. Look at this 4.8 right here across the Mariana Islands. That one came in just about over an hour or so ago. That is a further sign here to watch this area, the western edge of the Filipino plate. Stress out there is continuing to increase. I'm expecting here, since we've seen this newer quake and the more recent quake activity up here in the last 15 minutes, I expect that to kick back up here in terms of the swarming that we're seeing around that area. The general plate movement, if you really look here at it, I got many different images open up, but this area here of the Filipino plate, the eastern edge, that's under the influence here of the Pacific plate. When that thing moves, it really puts a crunch here on this Filipino plate. Very small plate, in relation to the rest of these big plates that are out here. And all this is moving to the west-northwest. Watch this area up here around the Taiwan area northward along that plate boundary. That includes where the swarm is and the Nankai Trough. Looks like things should start to kick back up here following this event just a little short time ago. Aside from that, Alaska's been pretty busy up here. Had a 4-pointer outside of Anchorage here this morning. Let's see what we got. Actually, it's been still within the last hour, out around the Cook Inlet area. 4.4, 61 miles deep for that quake. A couple other earthquakes there in the area of Alaska as well. Nothing big going on, but definitely getting some signs of some movement all across the Pacific plate here. Into the Pacific Northwest. A couple smaller quakes out there yesterday and some from today. Really nothing big going on out there for now across Washington. And surprisingly, the volcanoes out here have been pretty quiet as well across the region. Really nothing of any abnormal activity. Occasional swarms around Mount St. Helens there. And same for the Mount Rainier area, but those are all very small earthquakes that happen up there when they do stir up. Across Cascadia subduction zone, southern end, I don't see anything new. Actually, we do have 2 new ones here. It seems to be every day, roughly early in the morning or so in this area. The latest, a 3.3 up here across the Blanco fracture zone once again. This has been a little hot spot of activity here recently. And most of the time when we see activity out here, it puts strain down here across the southern end of the Cascadia, either resulting in tremor activity or earthquake activity, but we haven't had any tremor activity here in the last week, and minimal earthquake activity. There's been a couple noted events here those were back in June. Some surface quakes there associated with the Cascadia subduction zone, but really nothing new to report following, this recent activity down here. So I'm just watching it closely here. Could be getting ready to pop at any time. This is valuable data here. I wish we had some type of way to see what happened prior to the last earthquake out here, the 1700 big 9-pointer. Were we getting elevated tremor? Did the tremor come to a halt for a couple months? What was going on prior to that 1700 earthquake? Those little telltale signs there that I would find very, very valuable into possibly forecasting when the next big earthquake hits. But that's why it's good to study all this information for now. When the big earthquake does happen out here, of course it's going to happen a couple hundred more years from that point when it does happen. So, but the information will at least be gathered, because it is interesting to watch, see what takes place prior to any big earthquake activity. Similar, over in Japan there, with that swarm going on. It's got to be leading to something. And we covered this last night here, how these 5-pointers, bunch of 5s and 4s, are really not doing much of anything as far as relieving strain across that area. The A magnitude 8.0 earthquake releases roughly 32,000 times more energy than a magnitude 5. So technically, it would take 32,000 magnitude 5 earthquakes to release the same amount of energy as a single magnitude 8.0. That's just science right there. That's all the numbers. Not going to go into the technical details, but yeah, these earthquakes that are happening in the last several weeks there are not doing anything as far as relieving strain. If anything, it's a sign of increasing pressure across the area. Further down the line there across the Bay Area, the latest quake today shows a little 1.3. Nothing big happening across the San Francisco Bay for now. Same for the San Andreas Fault here. Although we did have, looks like 2 earthquakes here this morning within a few hours of each other, 2.6 and a 2.1. That is on the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault. The Parkfield segment here sleeps for now. In extreme Southern California, a little swarming going on there off the coast there of Long Beach. This has been a little active here. Nothing big, just some 2s out there. Today, a number of earthquakes as well in that same region, mostly in the 1 range. The southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault continues to sleep. Up into the Yellowstone area, nothing going on there. I did see some type of a there was a little explosion out there, hydrothermal explosion this morning. Let's see what we got here for the Yellowstone overview. Oh, it's right up here. I bookmarked it. As far as earthquake activity, not a whole lot going on. That geothermal explosion was out around one of the hot zones out here. It does happen on occasion. They actually caught it on their webcam. I wonder if let's see if it's listed up here on their Yellowstone page. Any new updates here? This was from July 1st. A lot of times they'll add the story on here, but it was on their social media page. So I'll have to check back on that a little bit later once I get that. But as far as earthquake activity goes, I'm looking here and I don't see a whole lot as far as earthquake movement goes. Pretty quiet conditions out there. Some storms brewing back up in the afternoon. That's these darker lines that you're seeing there. I believe those are the storms up there right now. Let's see what we got across the area. Weather radar. See, there's all those thunderstorms just starting to fire up. Eastern edge down here across the south and the center portion here of Yellowstone National Park, and that's what we see. Stirring back up in the afternoon time period. It's very typical every single year when we get those thunderstorms up there to show up, as that type of reading. Some of these are exposed to the elements out there, so it shows up pretty nicely. There's a really decent rumble of thunder out there across the Cody area. All right, let's see what else we have out there across the states. Really nothing new across the center portion of the country, aside from oil fields down south in Texas. A lot of oil fields out there, a lot of earthquake activity. One earthquake way over here against, or outside of the Columbia area, South Carolina. 2.7 this morning. A little uncertain what's over here as far as lots of trees. Looks like this earthquake struck underneath this area. I don't see any type of oil operations out here. It's kind of outside the zone of some earthquake activity historically. There's been some larger events out here in these areas. That's why it's marked here on the U.S. hazard map as areas of interest. But yeah, for that matter, let's get out of here, see if there's anything else going on. Puerto Rico Trench pretty active down here. A number of 2s and 3s overnight and this morning. The latest at 3.2. So it's been an interesting few days here with intense earthquake swarming. No big quake activity yet, but I still feel that we could get it at any time. The largest earthquake so far in the last 24 hours of 5.4. That's actually from yesterday. there in the Japan area where our swarm is. And after midnight, a 4.9 down across the Peru-Chile Trench here. So literally just minor worldwide activity. Now, if you think about localized, this is some heavy-duty, earthquake activity that's occurring in this region. But let's just see how it goes, folks. I mean, a good possibility it's leading to something. We'll just have to keep an eye on it because time will tell. That's a fact. All right, let's see. Anything else going on here for space weather activity? Pretty quiet. Back down into the B flare category. I mean, we've been down there for a couple days, for about a week now. One bright feature way out on the eastern limb, showing some magnetic arches there. Maybe an active area. Right now, though, the flare threat's fairly minimal. 10% chance for an M flare. X flare, yeah, 1% or less. Wow, 85% chance for a C flare. No major roars there in the forecast. And let's see. Oh, it looks like maybe they got this working here. This is a day old. So that area of interest, I don't know if it's going to be this region or maybe back over here. I don't see anything deep far as the far side of the sun goes. This is the Earth-facing side, the eastern limb right here. These are rotating into this direction. It's hard to tell. I don't think it's this area. You can almost make a cat, like a fox feature out of that. You guys see the two eyes, two pointy ears, and the chin. Man, the mind does play some tricks on you. It looks like a fox. All right, let's go ahead and check out the Storm Prediction Center here, up into Montana and Wyoming area. Got an enhanced area up here today. I believe that's due to some major damaging wind gust potential with these storms that are starting to fire up. Some big-time hail threat out there as well. Only a 2% chance for some tornado activity, but watch out. Those storms are going to be producing some big hail and a lot of wind out there today in those regions. For the day on Sunday, that severe weather shifts a little bit further to the south, taking that 2% zone with it. A little bit of wind, a lot of wind, and some big-time hail threats once again. Only a 2% chance for some tornado activity out there. As far as any major close approach asteroids go, let's check this out real quick. Make sure we're not missing anything. Surprise! I don't really see anything of any major close approaches here. All these are millions of miles away. This one coming in today is a fairly newly discovered one as well, 140-foot airplane-size asteroid, but that's just about 4 million miles away. All right, seismograph stations there. Pretty quiet for now. One earthquake there in Barrett, Southern California area. The Japan station here, pretty quiet for now, but we'll keep an eye on things. A couple earthquakes there in Mendocino, but again, they never report the smaller ones out here for some reason. Let's check out Hawaii, see what's going on. I know, kind of jumped over Hawaii. It's out there in the middle of the Pacific. Should be getting close here to another eruption. We'll check out the deformation data here. See what we have there across Kilauea Volcano. And we're still going up. These charts right here, pretty simple to read, folks. These are the electronic tilt at Kilauea Summit. This is the past 3 months. Up and down. That's pretty simple. Up, obviously, leading up to the eruption. Down is depletion during the eruption time. And then back up again. So we got, I think we got a few days, not quite at the level observed in our last eruption or so. But I don't see anything that tells me this is going to deviate away from the ongoing cycle here that's been going on since December of last year. It's just a rinse and repeat. I think we're waiting on episode 28, if I remember. Yep, so it says more time and data are needed before a forecast window can be made. But looking at those graphs back there, it's we got a few more days before things even get close to an eruption. One earthquake out in Kansas right now, 2.6. So just keep an eye on things here, folks. See how it plays out today. Have a good one. Enjoy your Saturday, and we'll see you guys back out here a little bit later.